I see why you guys dress like this because I am very warm and toasty right now.
Oh, okay.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very exciting day because I'm going to talk about something that I've really been interested in or wanting to learn and understand more for a while now, which is the genre, aesthetic, the theme, motif, I suppose, whatever, of dark academia. This is very popular, and I think that it's been popular for a long time, as I'll explain, but with the recent rise of things like TikTok, more social media use, I think just in quarantine in general, we're all on our phones a bit more, so I think some things have gained more popularity. Dark academia has definitely gained a lot of popularity in this last year. As someone who enjoys books and literature, I just kind of wanted to explore how it manifests itself in the actual academic sphere, what is considered dark academia in literature and movies and TV shows, and now we're here, so let's chat. So to get in the spirit, I tried to dress up as the dark academics do. It's very warm under this sweater and this shirt, and I've got some candles here, 2 candles to be exact, but took down the Funko Pops because I figured that, you know, as a real scholar, you wouldn't waste your time with silly little Funko Pops. No, you got candles. Plants too. Before I go any further, I just want to give a big shout out to Lowercase Lena and her channel because her video about dark academia that I'll link below is really wonderful exploration and inspired me to do this video, and so I just feel like I would be doing a major disservice if I didn't credit her in her video, so please go watch that and support her as well because she did a wonderful job. I really want to emphasize that I'm not saying that you shouldn't partake in this, but you just have to acknowledge these things, and I'm not saying that people who consider themselves dark academics are bad people. I don't think you are. Well, because I don't know you, and I don't know if you're a bad person or not. So, details. Wikipedia defines dark academia as an aesthetic centered on higher education, writing, the arts, and classic Greek and Gothic architecture, as well as romantic longing and death. Like cottagecore, goblincore, and grandmacore, it gained popularity on the online platforms TikTok and Tumblr. Never heard of grandmacore before. That's interesting, isn't it? Aesthetics Wiki defines it as an aesthetic that revolves around classic literature, the pursuit of self-discovery, and a general passion for knowledge and learning. Dark academia's best-known visual variations stem primarily from European cultures. And Urban Dictionary says an aesthetic that is inspired by old and classic literature and philosophy, as well as themes of existentialism and death, essentially a knowledgeable vintage emo. So the aesthetic, definitely a dark color scheme with earthy tones, and then some other colors that are taken out of palettes are navy, green, burgundy, cream, and brown or beige. Yeah, the earthy tones I think are really the pinnacle of that and really the crux of what people wear. Tweed. Tweed is a big one for the girls. It's also known as a pretentious scholar way of dressing, and I think I could agree with that. So plaid or suede dress pants, knitted turtlenecks, black belts, blazers, baggy overcoats, dress shoes or black heels, pocket watches, and gold vintage watches. Now, when I say all these things, I know that a certain race of people is coming to your head and a certain social class of people is coming to your head. Let's keep that in the noggin and let's remember that later. The aesthetic also consists of used bookstores, reading old classics and writing poetry, sitting in a vintage coffee shop and ordering black coffee or green tea with no sugar. Scenery used is New England private schools, Ivy Leagues, and boarding schools that also happen to be on the Eastern Seaboard. Some activities that dark academics enjoy in journaling, using ink pens, using typewriters, books with deckled edges, all that jazz. Don't ever dress like you're warm. You're never warm. It's always layers. We're never, no. Examples of this in media, in movies, Dead Poets Society, Kill Your Darlings, and Mona Lisa Smile are the movies that I've seen that I think really encapsulate. Yes, it's a New England college or a high school in these movies, but also just kind of how these people are, you know, living their lives, whatever, but their stories, what ties them together is academia. They are in a classroom setting or they've met at school, that kind of thing. And then TV shows, Penny Dreadful, How to Get Away with Murder, for sure, Hannibal, The Magicians, and Sherlock are ones that I picked out. I would also argue, okay, this might be where I lose you. I would also argue that Gossip Girl fits into this because listen, they're on the Upper East Side, bunch of rich kids going to a prep school. Is that not what I've just been describing for the past like 10 minutes? Gotcha. I made literature its own category in this video. Dark academia is supposed to center around the pursuit of knowledge, and an expansive knowledge of literature is highly sought after in the academic space. So I also think that that goes back to the core definition and understanding of this aesthetic. So thanks to this post that I found on tumblr.com, of all places, in our Lord's year 2020. Would not think that I was going back on Tumblr, but here it was. Here are some books that have been described as pinnacles of the dark academic aesthetic. So we've got Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, Hamlet by William Shakespeare, Dracula by Bram Stoker, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, this is very interesting to me. I happen to enjoy a lot of these books, so this is why I really doubled down on this part. Dorian Gray is a very fascinating book to be on this list. I do agree that it does fit the aesthetic very well. The whole conversation of aestheticism and beauty in art just being beauty in art. You know, we don't need a greater purpose. We don't need a reason to make this art. We just want it because it's pretty. And that, I think, is kind of what's happening right now. People on TikTok who don't really, you know, partake in the pursuit of knowledge or whatever, which is completely fine. Just they enjoy the pictures of black coffee and pretty libraries and stuff, and that's perfectly fine, right? And I feel like Oscar Wilde would look at those people and be like, you're doing great, sweetie. I think it's so interesting how partakers in this aesthetic have cast it to the mainstream and how they treat it, and how the way you look literally on Tumblr, on Pinterest, or whatever, your mood boards and stuff is what is your shtick. And so that's just so interesting that people are so caught up with the aestheticism of it. You guys are onto something here. You guys are onto something here. I think it's really funny that this is such like a highly favored book in the dark academic sphere when his own outward appearance led to his downfall. And we've been talking a lot about how, you know, fashion is a big part of this aesthetic and how outward appearances matter. There's a lot to think about there, isn't there? Frankenstein is a great pillar of this aesthetic because, you know, modern Prometheus, pursuit of education, yeah. And the rest are just gothic or about rich white people, so I do not know the vibes, but I do see the vision. And then moving on to modern books of the dark academic sphere. So, The Goldfinch and the Secret History by Donna Tartt, If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio, Black Chalk by Christopher Yates, and then some I added myself, Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas, Bunny by Mona Awad, Ninth House by Lida Bardugo, and many more. Okay, listen. I think that all of these have a lot in common about rich people in higher education screwing themselves over due to their own hubris as they study tragedy. Isn't that funny? Side note, I really hated Black Chalk. We could talk about it for a while. So let's take two books that I did enjoy very much in detail, and that is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio and The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Now, I talk about these books a lot, so I will spare you some details. I read The Secret History over the summer, and then I just read If We Were Villains about a month ago. And when I was reading If We Were Villains, I just found very strong parallels between the two stories. I was honestly shocked that it followed kind of the same pattern. People who think that they're smarter than others, turns out they're not. Oh no, there's a murder. Let's cover up the murder. Oh no, the cover up the murder did not go like we thought it would. That's it. Oh no, we have to evade the police now. Cannot evade the police for very long. The end. And I think I enjoyed them even though none of the characters are enjoyable, because the unreliable narrator does their job to completely disillusion the reader and watch as the romanticization of these characters crumbles right before our eyes, and coming out that these people aren't just black coffee and cute blazers, that these people are capable of faults, and being educated doesn't mean that you are above others. You get roped into something because you're so enthralled by the glitziness, but you really find out that these people just are not much better than you. They just have money and privilege. Donna Tartt is still not gang though. I do not agree with her personal decisions. And final part, let's talk about whiteness. This aesthetic is highly Eurocentric, and that's why I do not fully love it, fully care about it. I'll wear the sweater out, but I just don't wouldn't call myself a dark academic. For something called dark academia, it's just not.
For any sassy pants in the comments, I literally know that it's not called dark academia because of your skin tone. Thank you. It was a joke.
You know, the study of Greek, Roman, just classic culture has such a westernized focal point that it just... Come on. There's also a kind of weird fantasy or romanticization of mental illness and unhealthy habits. And while that does happen in college, and it does happen to people who are under high stress in these academic settings, I just don't really vibe with that, and I don't really know why we need to make TikTok edits about it. I don't know. Academia is already highly elitist, highly classist, highly racist, highly white as it is. So, not to mention, it's highly inaccessible to a great amount of people. Using intelligence as a way to separate yourself from others is just not cute, fun, or quirky. I understand the pursuit of knowledge. I mean, I'm in college myself. I love knowing things, I love reading things, but using that as a superpower to separate yourself from others is super sus and weird. It's more about the aesthetic. It's more about what you look like. And how cute you are when you're drinking coffee in a cafe. And for some reason, people also believe that intelligent people are above racism and homophobia and sexism and other forms of oppression, when in reality, they weaponize their intelligence to perpetuate these systems. That's very wild, if I may insert an opinion. I like, you know, the pictures of people drinking coffee with no milk in it and walking along wet concrete into a pretty gothic library. Like, that's cool. It's cute, you know? College is about expanding yourself and your knowledge and gaining new experiences and becoming a more cultured person. The westernized focal point of this aesthetic is probably one of the most pigeonholed things that I've ever seen. I don't think people who create dark academic TV shows and movies, and just movies about college in general, understand how much of a melting pot college can truly be and should truly be. Like, honestly, if you're in college and your entire friend group is still white, it's a little bit weird. So anyways, overall, that's just kind of it. I touched all my bases. I just really wanted to do a deep dive into this aesthetic as I learned more about it and as I see it becoming more and more popular. It's just a matter of understanding what you're partaking in, knowing all the nuances of it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I either opened up this conversation or furthered it or brought something new to light that you haven't thought of before. I don't know. Like, comment, subscribe. I would really love comments if you consider yourself a dark academic, if you know something that I don't about this, because there's a lot, or if I said something that you disagree with. I would just love to have this conversation. And I don't consider myself one who partakes in it that much, but I would just love to continue this conversation and learn more. So thank you so much for watching. That's all I've got. I'm gonna blow out these candles because it's stressing me out that they're so close to my books. Bye.